Good evening, everyone. I'm Rick Goff, joined today by Aaron Smith.
How are we?
Good, how you doing?
Tired, but we're here.
And as always, our number one producer in the game, Brandon Whitley. Thanks, Brandon, for being here again today. We're coming to you from the Athletic Sports Room Studios in Louisville, Kentucky. And today we've got a good show for you coming up. We've got a few topics to talk about. And we're going to play a little game. We did it our last show, had some fun with it.
Yeah.
Deal or no big deal. We're going to bring that back with some different topics today. And then at the end of the show, we're going to do our mid-season top 25 rankings for 2022. And this goes a long way to determining our seeds for the TBS Nationals that are coming up in 3 weeks from today, or tomorrow. 3 weeks from tomorrow.
That's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for it.
Yeah. So let's get started. As always, we're going to recap something that happened over the last few weeks since our last show. And there was an event down in Florida this past weekend that drew a lot of the big teams from around the country. And unfortunately, the championship games got rained out. But I want to take a minute to congratulate the teams that made those games.
Yeah.
In the 11-year-old division, these are all TBS nationally ranked teams, too. So in the 11-year-old finals is going to be SBA Nationals out of North Carolina and Elite RBI out of Texas. The 12U is going to be a absolutely barn burner. It's going to be a good one that everyone was looking forward to. And that's the TG Diamondbacks out of Georgia and SBA Marucci national team out of North Carolina. And then the 13-year-old division was going to be Texas Bombers Elite and the Florida Dodgers Scout team. So there was going to be some good competition and some good games that are going to happen, but Mother Nature ended up winning that one. But I want to recognize those teams for having good weekends.
Yeah.
Something that gets brought up a lot over the course of the season, and this comes from all the way from youth all the way up through high school, and that's kids playing multiple positions, and that is, how many positions should you play? When should you play them? And at what age do you really stop playing multiple positions?
Yeah. I think the big thing with, or at least my stance on it, is play as many positions as you can at a young age, so that way, number one, you can figure out what you like or what you think you're the best at. For me, for example, I caught ever since I was 5 or 6. But I played the outfield. I played second base. And, when I get to high school, I'm still catching. But, my secondary, I'm a second baseman. And so I think that when you kind of broaden your horizons early, number one, you figure out what you like playing. Number two, being a position player is much more valuable than someone that can only play one position.
Yeah, it's good to play multiple positions, especially at the younger ages, because you don't know what you are.
Exactly.
You're a baseball player. That's about the only thing that you do know.
Yep.
Is you're a baseball player.
And some coach told you to go play a position, and that's where he's had you at. So you don't even know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, where you can get better. You don't know at that young age. So playing the outfield and then going over to third base and getting behind the plate, it opens your eyes to what the game is.
Let me play devil's advocate here a little bit. First of all, before we went further, I do agree with you. I think it's good to play multiple positions. Because playing multiple positions increases your chances of staying on the field.
100% it does.
And learning different positions, increases your chances of staying on the field.
Yeah.
But let me share a story that happened with my son. Playing for me growing up, he was the epitome of playing different positions. And he played outfield, third base, second base, first base, catcher. Probably about the only thing that he didn't play on a continuous basis was probably shortstop. Now I'm going to fast forward to he gets into high school, and his high school that he went to didn't really allow freshmen to play varsity sports.
Okay.
So when he was a sophomore, we made the varsity team as a sophomore. Mainly because he was a left-handed hitting catcher, first and foremost, right? They're worth their weight in gold, a left-handed hitting catcher.
Yes, they are.
So that's what got him on the varsity team. But what kept him on the field, other than he could hit, was he could play multiple positions.
Yes.
But at the end of the season, when it was time to announce all league, he didn't make it
Because he played multiple
because he played multiple positions.
Okay.
And even the coaches in the league agreed that he should have been on the team, but they didn't know where to put him.
Yeah. I mean, when you are, I guess, in high school and that stuff, the awards and everything like that are considered, yeah, that probably is a downfall to it. But then again, you are doing high school awards. Are these college coaches coming to see you and you play 4, 5, 6 different positions? That is infinitely more valuable than winning a particular high school award.
So I can say this about my son. Mm-hmm. He was good at all of those positions, but he wasn't great at one. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that I talked to a college coach, and he basically told me, I don't know where I'd put him.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'd put him. So I'm not going to recruit him because I don't know where I'd put him.
Then at that point, as a player, and if I was having those conversations as a player, where do you want me?
Yeah.
What need can I fill for you? And that's what I will do.
But, well, see, I don't think so, Brandon. It's a situation to where, you know, he knew how to play the position, but he wasn't fine-tuned at any one position. Mm-hmm. So now this college coach is like, well, if I take him as a third baseman and he doesn't pan out, now I've got to try his other position might be, I'm just being hypothetical here, a catcher or a left fielder. Well, he's already got a catcher and a left fielder.
Well, hypothetically, you want to figure it out before the season starts, obviously. But
yeah,
mid-season.
Also
another. It's tricky because like I said, he wasn't fine-tuned.
Yeah.
He wasn't taking hundreds and hundreds of reps at third base.
Yeah.
He was taking 20, 25 reps. All right, move over to the catcher here and let's help us out here. Move to the left field, take some reps there.
At the very least, your fundamentals are going to be very solid.
Yeah. And another.
They were.
Yeah,
he was recruited by a couple of D2 schools.
Yeah.
And which was fine, but I kind of questioned, like, man, did he get cheated because he didn't play one position and people were going after him for that.
Yeah.
So it helped him stay on the field in high school, but it might have kept him off the field when he come to college.
Another big
his
caveat.
grades were good too, so
Yeah. Big caveat to that also is you had mentioned using this as an example, him playing third base, then going to catcher, going to left field, whatever. That is the conventional mold for a third baseman. They don't pan out, you can stick them behind the plate, go to left field. But another thing to that is, well, he's played every position his entire life. You don't have to fit that mold. He could go across the diamond and go be a second baseman. He could go play center field. Heck, you could throw him on the mound and see if that works.
Well, it's funny you say that because his junior year, we went into districts, and right before districts, our first baseman got hurt.
Let me guess, he played first base.
He played first base in districts.
Yeah.
Hadn't played first base his whole freshman or sophomore season.
Yeah.
In his whole junior season, he hadn't played first. But that was the only position that kid could play was first. He got hurt. We never, I say we, the team never worked out on really another first baseman.
Yeah, he was a lock-in first baseman until he got hurt.
Playing travel ball his whole life, he still knew what the responsibilities of the first baseman were.
Yep.
He slid over there, ended up playing 4 games in districts, and was named to the all-district team as a first baseman.
Yeah.
So it was kind of ironic. They were just another position to confuse people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, where do you fit in at?
I mean, at the end of the day, at the youth level, it doesn't hurt. Granted, once you start moving up high school, college, shrink it a little bit. Still know how to play those positions because you get into college and that coach says, "Who here?" Of course they already know, but hey, our second string shortstop got hurt. Who can play it?
Yeah, but I mean,
I played it in high school. I know how it works. All right, go slot in there.
At college, though, it's pretty determined that you're playing a position.
100%. But having those positions in your back pocket is infinitely more valuable than somebody that doesn't.
But it can still change. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to throw a name at you that you're probably familiar with.
Rick Ankiel.
Well, that's one. But that was more out of
necessity.
That was more out of necessity. Rick Ankiel was more out of necessity. But there was a player that when he was 12 years old, he was actually our TBS Player of the Year when we used to do All-American teams and stuff of that nature. He was our TBS Player of the Year.
Yeah.
As a catcher, he went to college, actually went to JUCO college, as a catcher. And guess what he doesn't play as a Major League Baseball player?
Catcher.
Catcher.
Who was it?
He's a right fielder.
Who?
Bryce Harper.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a TBS guy?
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Yeah. Actually, it was on his Wikipedia profile for a long time.
That's cool.
That he was TBS 12-year-old player of the year.
That's awesome. Yeah, he also in I guess his years at JUCO, his year at JUCO, he pitched. He sat 92 on the mound. Yeah, Bryce Harper's a different human.
Oh, he was.
He was a different human.
Yeah, I mean, I watched him in multiple tournaments, as a catcher.
Yeah.
And he was.
He's the truth.
He was pretty good.
Yeah.
He was pretty good. So, I mean, there's an example that's what he did basically his whole life.
Yeah.
Pitcher,
But
catcher.
the one thing with
They got out of
Bryce,
major leagues and they go, no, you're gonna.
yeah, the one thing with Bryce, and really we'll touch on the catcher's position here in a minute, is Bryce Harper's a freak athlete. To get to the MLB level, unless you're hitting 300, you got to be an athlete. So for Bryce to say, okay, I'm going to give up catching, or the coaches say, hey, you're not catching anymore, we'll stick you out in right field, and he's a pretty sure thing out in the outfield. He's not bad at it at all, and that
he can hit too.
He can hit the heck out of
hit.
it. But I mean, as an outfielder, I bet as a defensive outfielder, he's average.
He could have been a major league catcher.
Could have been, but would we see?
And he would have been really good at it.
Yeah.
But here's the mindset with Major League Baseball and that they feel his career would have been shortened as a catcher.
It would have.
Insert Joe Mauer, insert Buster Posey.
Yep.
They eventually move those guys to first base to prolong their
Those
career.
are anomaly players. Like Yadier Molina, he's an anomaly player that can stay behind the net.
So they told Bryce, on your days of catching and pitching are over.
You're too much of an athlete to be stuck behind the plate.
So that kind of gets winged down by the time you get to college playing a single position. But I see coaches, or I hear coaches, and I hear stories about kids at 9 and 10 years old that are pigeonholed into a position.
Yeah, 100%. Nothing infuriates me more than hearing about an 11 or a 12U team that has pitcher onlys.
Yeah,
that infuriates. Even at the high school level, and this is just me, I cannot stand organizations, whatever, that have pitcher only as freshmen.
I used to think that way until I started coaching high school ball, and we had 2 kids on our varsity team that was pitcher only.
Yeah,
because I'm here to tell you, they couldn't do anything else.
Yeah, and that part of it, okay, I can understand that.
Which really.
But at the varsity level, okay. As freshmen, no.
It baffles me because if they're a good pitcher, they've probably played the game since they were little.
Yeah.
And
how are they not?
How are they not able to play?
How are they that uncoordinated?
I mean, one of the kids had trouble even catching the ball that was thrown back from the catcher.
Yeah, he can. I bet he slung it.
Oh, but he slung it.
He slung it.
He slung it,
Yeah.
and he couldn't hit. I mean, you put a bat in his hand, and it was.
It's a foreign.
It was entertaining.
Yeah.
Putting a bat in his hand. So. Those guys are being pitchers only. But then you think back when that kid is 10 or 11, I don't care how bad he hit or how bad he couldn't catch. You never know what's going to happen. So let him play.
Yeah, and the term, at least for the youth ranks, pitcher only, I cannot stand it. You are pigeonholing an 11 or 12U kid that who knows if in 4 years if he's going to be anything on the mound.
The only restrictions that should be placed on kids at that age is general positions. Like, you don't see left-handed shortstops. You don't see left-handed third basemen.
Left-handed catchers. Although we have seen a couple.
I see those.
I've seen a couple at the Youth World
those.
Series, and
Yeah.
they're pretty good.
I see those. And it's not before people start emailing and texting and making comments. It's not that the kids can't play.
It's not
shortstop and third base is left-handed. It's just not a natural position because you're
throwing
across your body.
No, wait, yes.
Yeah, you have to move and set your feet
the
up.
way you field, you have to turn and then throw
Right.
there versus you're here with the foot.
Now,
okay, that makes sense.
if we were ever to have a tournament. I think I told you this. One of my things I want to do in the fall is run a backwards tournament.
Okay.
To where third base is first base and
Oh God, that'd be a nightmare.
second base is still second base. But,
Nope.
but hang on, hear me out, because under those guidelines,
Then lefties are
then you want an all left-handed infield.
Yeah.
And it
That'd
gives them an opportunity to play
Oh,
infield.
I bet, but that'd be an absolute nightmare.
That's why I said do it in the fall, because it would have to be for fun.
Oh yeah,
You would do it for fun,
Yeah.
and let the lefties
the
be
lefties
main
feel the
attraction.
ground ball.
Right, let them be the important player for once, instead of being stuck at first base or in the outfield.
Yeah.
So, we talked about that, and
Lefty lives matter.
Yeah, lefty lives matter. There you go. Right? So we had a lot of fun with those guys, but coaches, do yourself a favor, do your players a favor, let them play other positions, especially if you're in a game to where the score is out of hand.
Especially if they ask.
Oh, and if they ask.
If they ask, hey, I really want to try third base, stick them out there.
You can find a time
Stick them out there.
somewhere, somehow to let them try.
Yeah, 100%.
And just because they make an error on the first ball hit, and I've seen this happen too. You put the kid out there at third base, the first ball comes, because inevitably,
Botched.
the first ball is going to come to him, right?
Yep, first ball's coming in,
First
he
ball's
botches
coming
it.
and he's going to make an error.
Yeah.
And then the coach goes, well, I gave you a try, go back and play left field.
Yeah.
And that's not the way it works.
No, it is not.
Don't make him afraid to make a play.
Yeah.
And I see coaches that coach like that all the time. They coach with fear. Like, oh, you made an error. That's why I don't let you play third base. You're going to go back to the outfield.
Yep.
Well, of course the kid's going to make an error because he's petrified.
Yeah.
Let him play.
Yeah, he's never played it before.
He's 10 years old.
Right. An error is not the end of the world. If you want to concern yourself with something, concern about the mental error.
Yeah.
Like when the ball's hit to him, you don't know where to throw it.
Yeah. Now that's concerning.
That's different.
That's concerning.
That's concerning. But, man, I see this happen all the time with coaches that want to coach with fear. And that probably makes me cringe more than not having them play other positions. Is
Yeah.
Coaches that want to coach with fear. Like, if you make an error, I'm going to give you a shot. If you make an error, that's it. You're on the bench.
Yep.
And then the normal shortstop makes 2 errors and nothing's said to him.
Exactly.
So, well, I can tell you this, no matter where the kids are playing in what position, there's always someone behind the scenes that's keeping track of all of that and making sure that everything flows smoothly.
Yep.
And that's the team mom or team dad, depending on what the situation is on your respective team. But I can tell you, they are one of the most important pieces of any successful team is a team mom or team dad.
Yeah, 100%. So when I go out and we look for teams or, post our tournaments, and about 95% of the time, I get a team mom or a team dad calling me asking about more information. It's not, it's not the head coach, it's not the assistant coaches, it's not, whatever the case may be, but it's the team moms and dads that I communicate more with than anybody else when I'm putting on a tournament. I'm sure you're the same way.
It is. Let me tell you a little secret. I've talked to many coaches. I've talked to many coaches, including myself. I'm guilty too. I have kept a player on my team because of the team mom or team dad.
Yeah.
So if I'm down to my last spot on my team, and there is somebody that's willing to do the administrative work as a team mom or a team dad, and the other parent's not, well, guess who's getting to be put on my team?
Team mom or team dad.
The team mom or team dad kid.
Extremely valuable.
Extremely
Undervalued. Undervalued.
And the stuff that they do and how they handle things throughout the year, you can't put a price on it.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, when I started off in coaching, I didn't have a team mom or a team dad. I did it all myself.
Whew.
And it's brutal.
Yeah.
It is absolutely brutal.
I mean, you think about a few of the things that you have to do on the back end, right? If you're going, let's say you're going out of state for a tournament, hotels, rosters, waivers, insurance, gotta handle all that.
Yeah.
You've got different travel plans. If you got to book flights, team mom or dad gets all that stuff together, sends it out to the parents. This is the flight you need to book.
Yeah.
You've got, uniforms. How are we going to wash uniforms? Team mom or team dad will probably handle that. There's just so many things that you don't think about on the back end. First, one specific team, and this is one event, going out of state one time. they do this year round. Really year round, like over the summer.
And here's another thing too. That team mom or team dad interacts with the parents.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you when I was coaching, I didn't really want to interact with the parents all that much.
Mm-hmm.
Because my job was to coach the kids, manage the game, manage playing time,
Yep.
manage all this other kind of stuff. Meanwhile, the team mom or team dad is sitting in the stands with the parents.
Yep.
So they hear what they want to do. And they start doing things 2, 3, 4 weeks in advance.
Yep.
Hey, you know what? 2 weeks we're going to go to Indianapolis, Indiana. So what do we want to do there? What hotel do we want to stay at?
Yeah.
And I didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And those people are invaluable, and I can recommend to any coach, if you don't have a team mom or a team dad, get one.
Get one 100%.
Get one and get one fast.
It makes
your life so much easier.
It makes our job easier too, 100%. Because when I go and talk to a coach, half the time they don't know what's on the back. They don't know what's on the back end. They don't know that they need the rosters, waivers, insurance. They need to go through us for the hotels. That they need to get the travel plans the day before. They don't know. So having that person that is solely dedicated to do that makes my job easier too.
And they're invaluable, and they plan, or try to anyway. They try to plan team meals, like if they go out of town.
Yep.
Hey, here's what we can do. There's a minor league game in town. There is an amusement park. There's a bowling alley. There's a movie theater. They look all that stuff up.
Yeah.
And for the parents that don't really want to take the time, and they are a huge part of the team. They do a lot of things. I can tell you, my team mom and dad, I always gave them a gift card at the end of the year to tell them, thank you for doing the things that you did, because it's thankless. No one appreciates them.
Yeah. And a lot of
As
the
they
time,
should.
either the mom or dad is doing the game changer too.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot.
They're doing the game changer.
Yep, that happens a lot. They keep score and they keep track of
Stats.
and everything else. And they're valuable to the coach, because if you're running to a tournament that has pitching restrictions,
Yeah, they're going to let you know.
Hey.
They've read the rules 4 times.
Hey.
They know.
Timmy's got to come out of the game.
Yep.
It only says he can throw 4 innings today, and that's his 4th inning.
Yep.
Those guys are invaluable and
Yeah.
very much appreciated. I understand what they do to a team.
Yep.
And again, man, I can't stress it enough. If you don't have one, get a team mom and team dad to take care of all the administrative stuff for you. Makes your life easier as a coach.
Yep.
It makes our lives easier as tournament directors as well. I'm dealing with it right now. I've got teams that are turning in their rosters.
Yep.
And, the coaches are like, I'll have to get on that. Hey, you know what, coach, you got a team mom or dad, let me talk to them.
Yeah.
And I usually have the rosters within 24 hours.
Yep. Same here. I mean, we're doing everything as far as Youth World Series ramping up, and it's, hey, we need this done in the next week. Coach, can you handle it? No, I'll have my team mom call you to get it all taken care of. My team dad to call you to get it taken care of. Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it. Next day, get a phone call, done in 5 minutes.
Done in 5 minutes.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So hats off to all the team moms and dads out there. Everybody appreciates you. I know you probably don't get the appreciation you deserve, but it doesn't go unnoticed, I guess is a good way to put it. All right, the next thing up on here is something that we introduced a couple of weeks ago. I had a lot of fun with it.
I did too.
So we decided to bring the segment back again.
Yeah.
Deal or no big deal. And we're going to go over a few topics, and we're going to give our opinions whether it's a big deal or not.
Yeah.
And so this week we'll go ahead and have you start.
All right. First one, 14U, swinging a drop 5 bat. Big deal or no big deal?
So you're talking about you go to a tournament at 14U and you find out that they allow you to swing drop 5s.
Yep.
That's a big deal.
I think it is as well.
That's a big deal. And I'm a big believer on kids playing in the right type of environment.
Yes.
Whether it's AA, single A, bat sizes, I'm a big fan of playing. But at 14U, you're getting ready to go into high school, and you don't have a choice. It's got to be a drop 3.
Yeah.
100%. And so, 14-year-olds, regardless of what your skill level is, need to be swinging a drop 3 in order to get ready for that high school age. Now, I will tell you this. I had a very good team that I coached a few years ago, and there was a tournament, and we knew going in that they allowed the 14s to swing drop 5. It was kind of their their way of letting the kids have fun.
Yeah.
One time.
One
tournament. And I can tell you, my kids were excited about it. They begged me to get to that tournament.
Yep.
Because they knew how I felt.
Yeah.
They need to swing. So we did end up swinging or entering that tournament where they allowed them to swing drop fives. And I can tell you, those boys were as giddy as all get out for one weekend.
Yeah.
And we actually played games at the Chicago Cubs minor league park.
Oh, okay.
And we hit a lot of home runs.
Hit them out of there too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when we had our versus tournament this weekend, and part of the versus rules is you can swing a drop five bat at 14U. Balls were leaving the yard left, right, and center, and I mean, it wasn't just barely getting over the wall. I mean, over the batter's eye.
Yeah, that's the problem with that. But like I said, if you do it once to let them have a little fun, I'm okay with it. On a consistent basis, I just don't think you're doing the kids any justice.
Oh, 100%. I think
it's not what they're going to be, used to as they get older. So
totally get it.
Honestly, I think even at 13, the high level and 13-year-old teams, they challenge themselves. I see it a lot right now. I'm talking to coaches about the TBS Nationals, and these guys, because we allow drop fives at 13, I have no problem with that.
So do we.
60-90.
Yeah.
But they go up and they play 14-year-old tournaments, so they kind of get an idea of the 13 what they're facing.
Yeah.
So I think it's a big deal. I don't think drop fives should be swung at 14.
Yeah.
All right. At the end of the year, you're going to go to your World Series event, and you find out that your team is adding players to go to a World Series event. Deal or no big deal?
No, I don't think it's a very big deal. I think that if you are going to this big year-end event and the tournament allows you to add players, as long as those players are conforming to what the tournament is, I don't think it's a very big deal.
I'm torn on this one. I can see it both ways. I can see it being no big deal, but I can also see it being a big deal. Because I'm going to tell you, let me start with it being a big deal first.
Okay.
And if you pick up players to go to a World Series event, even if you say, oh, well, we're only going to pick them up to pitch, even when that kid pitches, one of your regular players is sitting the bench somewhere.
Yes.
And
might not even make the trip.
That player has put in the whole year with that team, and he invests all of his time and money to go to this World Series event,
For him
only to get there to set the bench because some other kid comes in and is taking his playing time. So that's where it becomes a big deal. When you're investing time, money, and energy, and only to be shortchanged or felt like you're shortchanged when you get to the World Series event. That's where it becomes a big deal.
Yes.
Where it's no big deal is if you did like I did when I coached, and I tell the parents up front, even before the season started, when we had tryouts in August, I would tell them, this is how we're going to run the team, this is what we're going to do, and at the end of the year, we're going to pick up 1 or 2 kids. I'm not picking up 5 or 6, just 1 or 2. And the way I explained it to my parents was, my hopes of picking up this 1 or 2 players, if we're going down to play in a 4-game guaranteed World Series event, that these 1 or 2 players helps us make it to 6 or 7 games.
Yeah.
If we don't take these 1 or 2 players, we're probably going to be 4 games and done. And so that's the way I approach it to the families.
Okay.
So when you do that, and then you go at the end of the year and pick up 1 or 2 players, then it's no big deal because you've laid out what you're doing beforehand.
Yeah, and I totally agree, and I think that picking up players inevitably it's part of travel baseball to a certain extent.
To a certain extent.
Where that certain extent is, guys get hurt. You've got to pick up guys from different teams, different weekends, things like that. But the question was, a World Series specific, everybody's healthy.
But even in that, you're not adding players to your roster. You're just replacing them.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the main rules of the TBS Nationals. We don't allow you to pick up players to come to this event.
Yeah.
And Aaron, you would not believe how many coaches love that rule.
Yeah.
They love it because it puts no pressure on them to pick up kids and set other kids.
Yeah, 100%.
They love it. But what they can do is they can replace somebody, like you just said, who got hurt or can't make the trip.
Yeah.
Because we don't want you coming short-handed. So if you've got a roster of 12, we want you to come here with 12.
Yeah.
If you have a roster of 12, we don't want you to come here with 16. And that's the difference. And so I don't think anybody has a problem with that. But picking up kids to a World Series and some players losing time that they weren't going to be aware of, it becomes a big deal.
At that point, yes. If the team is not aware that kids could be picked up towards the end of the season, then yes, it is a big deal. But for a normal, like you said, hey, kids are going to be in and out, within the program, things like that, I don't think it's a very big deal. I agree with you.
All right, what's the next one you got?
All right, youth catchers wearing two-piece masks. Big deal or no big deal? I got a strong take on this one.
Well, here's society's take on it. The majority of society, not all society, but the majority of society is going to say this is no big deal. And because he's still wearing a protective catcher's gear, and some kids, it feels better, right? It feels better as opposed to the hockey style mask.
Yeah. It's all enclosed and there's not a lot of air coming in.
Right,
yeah.
a little bit. So the majority of society is probably going to say it's no big deal. But you're going to tell me why it's a big deal, aren't you?
So I wore a two-piece style mask my sophomore and junior year of high school is when I started wearing one. Why? Because I knew how to catch. 9, 10, and 11-year-olds are still learning how to block baseballs, how to, accurately catch a baseball, how to do everything behind the plate. And a lot of times, what we'll see at these events is that when kids are learning to catch, they turn their head to block baseballs. Or even if they aren't blocking a baseball.
It's a natural reaction.
They're ducking out of the way, they're turning their head. And I can't tell you how many times that I've seen kids that wear them turn their head, ball right into the ear, they're done.
Yeah.
And so wearing a two-piece mask, and you see it all over the MLB of it's the same thing as like a one flap, in the MLB is they wear it because they know how to wear it, right?
Yeah.
They know how to play that position. In college, you can wear them because they know how to play that position. High school, it's iffy. I know the state of Kentucky does not allow it. For high school play, wearing a two-piece mask. You said Michigan doesn't allow it either.
I think it's a federation high school rule. You can't wear two-piece masks.
So
I think every state.
So I think that kids at 9, 10, and 11 wearing them,
it's a safety issue.
It's a safety issue.
It's a safety issue.
Does it feel better? Does it give you a certain confidence? 100% it does. But when it comes down to it, unless you know how to catch like a high school sophomore, junior, senior, or a guy in college, do not wear one.
Well, and let's be clear here. Even though you put on the one-piece hockey-style mask, it's still not going to stop you from flinching and turning and everything else.
But
what it's going to do is it's going to protect you.
Yeah, it protects you.
It's going to protect you, and it's going to create an environment where you potentially could not get hurt. And I've run a lot of tournaments in my life, and this issue comes up almost every tournament that we play in.
Yeah.
If your son is a catcher and you want to wear that two-piece mask, I strongly advise against it, but you're going to do it anyway. I know you are.
Learn how to do it.
Two things. One, learn how to do it. It still doesn't stop him from
No,
turning.
it doesn't.
But secondly, you better carry a hockey-style backup in your bag, because every tournament, when it's brought to the attention, they have to make that catcher change it out.
100%.
Every tournament. I don't think there's an organization in the entire country that allows that two-piece catcher's mask. And so you just have to make sure that you have the hockey-style mask, because you're going to be asked to change it. And I see this a lot too. The kid doesn't have a hockey style.
No, they don't even bring it.
They don't bring it. So then he's got to borrow one from the opposing team.
And one other thing, there is a reason why when you go online to buy catcher's gear, you cannot buy a two-piece mask in a combo set. So you go out and you buy your shin guards and your chest protector. They always come with a hockey-style mask.
Yeah.
You have to go out and go to, you have to buy the mask separately from the skull cap, and it doesn't come in the set because it's not recommended at the youth level.
And I hear parents all the time, it's usually the catcher's dad, from the stands when he's made to change out his headgear, oh, you guys are just being nitpicky. You're being nitpicky.
No, we're not. We're saving a call to the trainer.
Yeah.
Because
or a visit to the ER.
it's not if it happens, it's when it happens.
Yeah, eventually that's when it's going to happen for sure. All right, the next one. Here's one for you. Your coach is a former Major League Baseball player. Deal or no big deal?
I think that depending on the role they are in, it's a huge deal. So
How so?
I'm going to lay out two different scenarios here. A former Major League player starts an organization and doesn't do any coaching. He has his organization, he has other coaches that help him out, but he doesn't do any coaching. He is the face of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a very big deal. But when you have a Major League or ex-pro coaching and interacting with not only your kids, but kids on the other side, kids who you're playing against, whatever the case may be, I think that is one of the most, just from a former player, I think it's one of the coolest things that could still be going on.
It's definitely a cool thing that a former Major League Baseball player is your coach.
Yeah. It's a big draw for kids to join that team, too.
It's a big draw, but you have to, can he coach? And we hear it all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can play, but you can't coach.
Yep.
Or you coach because you couldn't play.
Yeah.
And so it's all about how can you relate to the kids and get there. So again, this is another one that I think that has two, you can make a case both ways. It's a big deal or it's not a big deal. I've seen coaches, they just can't relate to younger kids.
They're the coach that sits on the bucket, gives signs, and doesn't really interact.
Well, it's not that he doesn't. It's just he can't, because he's a professional baseball player. He's used to things happening a certain way.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I got news for you. That 10-year-old,
he doesn't do things a certain way.
he does things a certain way.
Yeah.
And so does the frustration come into play? How's your patience level?
Yeah.
I've had numerous ex-Major League Baseball players coach at the TBS Nationals. And I can tell you, I watched all of them coach and see how they interact with kids. I don't care how they interact with the parents. I don't care how they
Parents
interact
are a
with
whole
fans.
separate issue. And
How do you interact with the kids? And I can tell you, they've all done a great job.
Yeah.
And one of the players that stands out to me that did a fantastic job with his kids was Ari Dickey.
Yeah.
2 years ago. 2 years ago, he was at the event, and man, he was just fantastic with the kids.
Yeah.
Related to them, and
I think
as a pitcher, he was invaluable to those pitchers.
I think too, one thing that helps for a guy like R.A. Dickey is he went out of the league on his own terms. He wasn't forced out of the league, right? You see guys. Another example of that is Chris Burke here in Louisville. He went out on his own. He wasn't demoted and then sent down and got released. Guys that kind of have a say in it of when they're saying, okay, I'm done playing. I think they're a little bit better than guys that got sent down and then got released and then started their own organization and it might be a little bit bitter, So I definitely think that Major League guys or former Major League guys are great if they can interact and let go of I'm a Major League Baseball player and I'm a coach.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head right there. Is they have to realize that they're coaching youth kids right now, and it's a totally different avenue than playing in the minors or majors, and they have to treat it as such.
Yes.
And I think the guys that can grasp that. Ed Easley is another one out of Tennessee who has a great grasp of transitioning from a player to a coach, and everybody in his organization just absolutely loves him. And so that's a big thing. So it's a big deal.
It is.
It's a big deal. You can benefit a lot from it if you get into the right environment.
You can. All right, last one for me. Kid hits a home run and infielders high-five him as he runs around the bases. Big deal or no big deal?
Oh, boy. I'm old school. So for me, this is a big deal.
Okay.
It's a big deal because you can be friends after the game. I want my infielders to be upset that some kid just hit a home run.
Yeah.
And so when he walks by him and you high-five him, that don't set well with me.
Yeah.
you're congratulating the other team for beating you, basically. I always told my infielders, just, go ahead and turn your back and, look in the outfield and let them walk on by.
Kick the dirt, kick the
the
grass,
dirt, whatever you want to do. But I know there's a lot of people in today's society that think there's no big deal.
And see, I think I could go either way on this. I think it's a big deal when you're in the 13, 14, or 12, 13, 14 and up kind
So
of.
age matters.
Yes, I think it does. I think once you're getting up there in age a little bit, you know that, hey, this is what we do. Okay, we don't go up and high five. We don't give them, fists, knuckles, whatever. But I think at the 9 and 10 and 11 in certain instances, I think it's all right.
Yeah, but don't you think that things that you learn at the 9, 10, 11, you build upon as you grow older?
I think it does, but that is one thing, and I'm gonna kind of tie it into this. I think if you can learn early on that sportsmanship is part of the game.
I'm all about sportsmanship.
But as a 9-year-old, I bet that most 9-year-olds don't see home runs get hit. Most 10-year-olds don't see home runs get hit unless they're playing in major tournaments, and at that point, they see it all the time. But I think...
I told my kids when I was coaching them, listen, I don't want to see that.
Okay.
After the game, when the game's over, whether we win or lose,
Hey, nice hit.
if
Nice
you
home run.
want to, as you're shaking hands in the line afterwards and you want to talk to them and congratulate them, that's fine.
Yeah.
To me,
I agree.
that's the sportsmanship.
Exactly.
Not during the game.
Yeah.
And so, again, I'm probably old school, but I think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
But I believe also that the most of society, the way it is today, is not a big deal.
Yeah.
And, that kind of rubs me the wrong way.
I get you.
There's a time and place for it.
Yeah.
I
think there is,
there's a time and place for it.
and I think there is as well. But at the very, very young ages, I think it's all right. But once you kind of cross that threshold, that okay, I'm going to start playing in high school and stuff, you gotta turn the back.
Here's another thing you can do too, though, right? So if you want to do it in the middle of the game,
Yeah.
there's a way to go about that too,
Yeah.
right?
You go over to second base. If you're in the middle infield, you go over to second base, and as he's jogging by, hey, nice shot
Right.
there.
I'm not high-fiving him.
No, the
I'm
third.
not giving him knuckles.
Yep, third
But
base.
as he walks by, I've got my head down, and I just under my breath and say, hey,
Nice shot.
nice shot.
Yeah, third base, same thing. Walk over to third base. Hey, nice.
Nice shot.
Yeah.
Like if I'm looking at you and you're the base runner, I can look over here and go, hey, here, nice shot.
Yeah, exactly.
But it shows that, okay, there's your sportsmanship that you're talking about.
Yep.
But
But it's not
it
a
doesn't tick off
stop
the box.
everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a way to do it.
There's definitely a way to do it. 100%.
So I think if that happened, I'd be okay with that because I probably wouldn't know that it happened.
You wouldn't know. You'd have no clue.
You'd have no
You
clue.
probably had no clue when they were doing it.
Yeah, they might have been. You're right. They probably were doing it and I just didn't have a clue.
Probably.
Which I'm okay with that.
Yeah. You didn't
I'm
know.
okay with that. All right, last one. You've got a player that's a really good fit for your team. Not necessarily saying he's the best player on the team or the worst player. He's just a good
He
fit.
fits.
But the parent is just very, very disruptive to the team. Is that a big deal or no big deal?
I think that it is. I think it is a big deal. Okay, and the reason why I think it's a big deal, I had an example from this weekend. We had we were talking to some parents at different fields, and something got brought up that should not be a thing in the game of baseball or youth baseball specifically. A parent says, "I paid my $10. I can heckle whoever I want." I don't think that parent should be anywhere near the field if that is the case. But a team specifically, I think if you have that parent, I go play somewhere else. We don't want that attitude.
See, my response to that, and I've had that happen a few times over my years of doing things. My response to them is there's a fine line between heckling and voicing your displeasure. Because, if you think something didn't go right, there's nothing wrong with stating your opinion.
Yeah.
There's nothing. But continually heckling for 2-3 innings, no, you don't have that right.
Yeah, and I think that goes along with your question is that type of parent that is they question everything.
Yeah.
They question why he didn't throw here in certain play situations. They question why he's still out on the mound. They question where they're going to eat that night. That is something as a team that is one of the more toxic things for the kids itself, because when the kid fits well and the kid is enjoying his time there, all for mom and dad to ruin it by getting thrown out or by butting heads with coaches or other parents, I think that takes away from the experience for the kid.
I had a conversation with a guy one time that was heckling, and he basically told me, I paid my money and I can heckle. And I told him, I said, I'll tell you what, why don't you tell me where you work, and I will come to your work, and I will heckle you when I think that you made a mistake.
Yeah.
And he says, well, what are you talking about? I said, well, you think that the umpire just made a mistake. You don't know for sure if he did or not, but you think he did, so you're going to heckle him. I said, so I'm going to come to your work and sit in your office, and when I think, well, you did it or not, when I think you made a mistake, I'm going to heckle you for 15, 20 minutes. You're not going to like it. And he goes, well, that wouldn't happen because I don't make mistakes. I said, well, then I get to come and watch greatness then.
Yeah, to watch the best.
Right, I can watch.
Yeah.
So I think it's a big deal. I would probably, unfortunately, have to ask the parent and the child to leave the team.
Yeah,
I've done that before.
I would as well.
I've done that before. And I know people out there say, well, that's not fair to the child. Well, you're right, but then here's your first lesson of life's not fair.
Here's your first lesson of your parents paid for it.
Yeah.
We talked about that last time.
Yeah.
Your parents paid for you to be here, wherever you see fit. The parents are paying. The parents are getting kicked out. Little Johnny, you're going with.
I never discouraged a parent from being boisterous at a game or vocal at a game. What I did warn them about was being abusive, being obnoxious. And there's a difference.
Yeah.
A comment like, oh, come on, Blue, you might have missed that one. Or, come on, Coach, why did you send him from third on that base hit? He got thrown out by 20 feet. You know what? They have that right. They have that right to say that.
They do.
But don't get personal. And if that's what you're going to continue to be on the team, then you got to go.
Yeah, I agree.
We have to find somebody new.
I agree.
Well, that wraps up our topics for tonight, and now we will move on to what probably everybody tuned in for, was our mid-season top 25 rankings for 9U through 13U. This is the first time we revealed a 9U, because as you remember, we didn't do a 9U preseason, because coming off 8-year-olds, we really don't know what we're getting into, but now they've had a half a season to play, and there's some teams that are kind of establishing themselves as being pretty good, so we want to recognize them.
Yep.
And so we're going to start with our 9U, and we're going to finish with our 13U.
Awesome.
We have honorable mention teams that we will list first. They will be in alphabetical order. And then we'll get into the top 20 for 9-year-olds and 25 for the age groups.
Awesome.
So, you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right. All right, so we're going to start off with the 9U honorable mentions in alphabetical order. Now let's move on to our top 20 in the 9U.
All right. At number 20, we have the Central Florida Bandits out of Florida. We have ZT Elite out of Texas. Traction Canes out of Louisiana. Prime Baseball out of Florida. And Union County Crush out of North Carolina.
Moving on to number 15, Memphis Tigers out of Tennessee. Number 14, the NTX Aces out of Texas. West Cobb Sox coming in at number 13. Number 12 is the Wildcatters out of Texas. And just missing out on the top 10 at number 11 is the TBT National White out of Florida.
At the 10th spot, we have the Swamp Donkeys out of Louisiana. At 9, SBA Futures at North Carolina. Prospect Baseball is the number 8 spot out of Texas. Number 7, Line Drive Elite out of Florida. And number 6 is the SD Stars out of California.
Now let's get into our top 5. Leading off at number 5, the Motor City Hit Dogs out of Michigan. Number 4 out of California is MVP Hustle. Number 3 is the Pokers out of Parkland, Florida. Number 2, the ZT Prospects out of California. And the number 1 mid-season 9U team is Team Siege out of Florida. All right, let's move on to the 10U honorable mention list in alphabetical order. Now we're going to get into the top 25. At 25, Gulf Coast Edge out of Alabama. Number 24, right here from Kentucky, the Vipers. Number 23 out of Georgia is Havoc. Complete Game from South Carolina comes in at number 22. And Boro Baseball from Ohio takes number 21.
At the 20 spot, we have the Texas Nitro out of Texas. At 19, 5-Star Jones out of Virginia. 18, the Central Florida Suns out of Florida. 17 is the ZT Prospects out of California. And at number 16, Top Tier out of Illinois.
Coming in at number 15, again from the Motor City, is the Motor City Hit Dogs out of Michigan. Number 14, we're flying all the way to Colorado for the Jets. And at number 13, East Cobb Astros out of Georgia. Coming in at 12, Hit Dogs out of Ohio. And number 11, Easley Baseball Club from Tennessee.
Number 10 is the Oklahoma Fuel out of Oklahoma. At number 9, it's Clutch out of Missouri. At number 8, Barnes Academy from Louisiana. Number 7, Armory National out of California. And at number 6, WFBA Hammerheads out of Florida.
Moving into the top 5, we have City Pirates from California. And at number 4, another West Coast team from Arizona, Knights Elite. Number 3, SBA Futures from North Carolina. Number 2, out of Florida, Line Drive Elite. And the number 1, 10U ranked 2022 midseason team is TBT Southern Finest out of Louisiana. Here are the 11U honorable mention teams in alphabetical order. Now let's get into our top 25. And number 25 out of California, the Braves. Number 24 out of Nevada, the Vegas Gamers. For 23, we're going to go back to California, the San Diego Show. Number 22 out of Texas, Wildcatters, Dynasty Black. And at number 21 out of Kentucky, the Vipers.
At the 20 spot, we have the Twin City Bombers out of Louisiana. 19, Upper Deck Cougars out of Illinois. At the 18 spot, Ohio City French out of Ohio. At 17, we have Wow Factor out of North Carolina. And at number 16 is Clutch out of Missouri.
Number 15, we have the Scorpions out of Florida. 14, Oklahoma Fuel from Oklahoma. 13 is the ZT Twins from Texas. Number 12 is the Astros, East Cobb that is, out of Georgia. And number 11, ZT Prospects out of California.
At the number 10 spot, we have the Carolina Cardinals out of North Carolina. At 9, Elite RBI out of Texas. At the 8 spot is MMW Prime out of Oklahoma. Number 7 is MVP Casillas out of California. And number 6, Banditos Baseball out of Texas.
Let's get into the top 5 right now. At number 5, Team Sosa 305 out of Florida. Number 4 is the SBA Nationals out of North Carolina. Number 3, Knights Elite from Arizona. Number 2, MVP Hooks out of California. And number 1, midseason 2022 11U team is Prime Baseball out of Florida. Now let's move on to the 12U honorable mention teams in alphabetical order. Kicking off with number 25, the Jersey Storm out of New Jersey. Number 24 is the Thunder out of California. 23, East Cobb Astros 615 out of Tennessee. Number 22 is the Vipers out of Kentucky. And number 21, the Warriors from Arkansas.
The next level prospects out of Georgia take the 20 spot. Diamond Elite Fernandez out of Florida is number 19. 18, Banditos Black out of Texas. 17 is the Las Vegas Rebels out of Nevada. And number 16, Premier National out of Texas.
Moving on to number 15, Traction Canes out of Louisiana. Number 14 is the Reed Johnson Baseball out of California. Number 13 is the Backyard Ballers from Texas. Number 12, our second California team in the 15 is San Diego Show. And number 11, Canes, Tennessee.
At number 10, we have the East Cobb Astros out of Georgia. Number 9, TBT Ballers coming from Florida. Number 8, Scottsdale Dirtbags out of Arizona. Number 7, the Swamp Donkeys out of Louisiana. And number 6, Wildcatters Dynasty Black out of Texas.
Now let's reveal the top 5 for 12U. At number 5, VSA Hollywood Heat from Florida. Number 4, Wildcatters, Burgos out of Texas. Number 3 is the ZT Prospects out of California. Number 2, TG Diamondbacks out of Georgia. And our number 1, 12U midseason 2022 ranked team is the SBA Marucci Nationals from North Carolina. One note on the 12U team, 8 of the top 10 will be here in 3 weeks at the TBS Nationals. You don't want to miss that one. Let's move on to 13U, the honorable mention list. In alphabetical order are. Let's get into the top 25 and kick it off with Canes Midwest out of Indiana. Number 24 is the TBT Ballers out of Florida. Number 13 is Test Black from Texas. 22 is Show National out of California. And 21 comes from Louisiana, the Traction Canes.
At number 20, we have the Parkland Pokers out of Florida. At 19, the Arizona Spurs from Arizona. At 18, the Indiana Bulls Black from Indiana. At number 17, MMW Prime out of Oklahoma. And at number 16, the SD Show from California.
Starting in the top 15 is Clutch Elite from Florida. Number 14 is Oklahoma Fuel from Oklahoma. Number 13, BPA, California. Number 12, Easley Baseball Club out of Mississippi. And number 11 calls North Carolina home, SBA Marucci.
At number 10, we have Apex from Texas. Number 9, Kangaroo Court from Florida. Number 8, Banditos Black from Texas. Number 7, the Motor City Hit Dogs from Michigan. And number 6, MVP Hustle from California.
Now let's move on and reveal our top 5 13U teams. LBC National out of Texas chimes in at number 5. Number 4 spot is held down by the Florida Dodgers Scout out of Florida. Number 3, Texas Bombers Elite from Texas. Number 2, ZT Prospects from California. And the number 1, 13U midseason TBS ranked team is the East Cobb Astros out of Georgia. All right, there you have it. There's our top 25 teams midseason for TBS for 2022. Congratulations to all the teams who showed up in the rankings. Aaron, I know in about 3 weeks we're going to see a good majority of those teams right here in Kentucky.
I can't wait, honestly. It'll be my first TBS that I've ever been to. Can't wait to see everything, and it should be an absolute time.
Well, you're in for a treat, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, on behalf of Aaron Smith and Brandon Whitley, I'm Rick Goff, your host for tonight. Congratulations to all the teams in our top 25, and we'll see you back in 2 weeks.
We go!